They say you don't notice the moment everything changes, but I did. It was the way she smiled at me that morning, like she was checking a box. Like the shape of her mouth was still familiar, but the warmth behind it had vanished. She poured coffee, stirred it slowly, and slid it across the table with a soft, "Here you go, babe," like she had every morning for the last 8 years. But this time, she didn't sit across from me. She stood near the sink, phone in hand, thumbs tapping away with the same urgency she used to message me when we first met. I watched the way her face lit up. Not for me, not anymore, but for someone else. She didn't see me watching. That's when I knew. I didn't have proof yet, not in the concrete black and white way that makes TV detectives nod. But I knew. Something had shifted. The way she'd been dressing lately, like she was trying to impress a mirror that didn't belong to our home. The phone always face down. The long showers. Girls' nights that didn't include the friends I knew. I told myself it was stress. I wanted to believe it was just a phase. But denial is a short-lived drug. That night, as she curled up next to me, her back against my chest, I stared at the ceiling. I counted the seconds between each breath she took. Calm, steady, untouched by the guilt that was eating a hole in my stomach. The next day I saw it. She left her tablet on the counter while she showered. The screen lit up, an email notification. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't looking for anything. But when your gut screams at you, sometimes your hand moves before your conscience does. Subject: Reservation confirmation. Marcellino's Ristorante. Time: 7:30 p.m. Guests, too. The name on the reservation: Lena Dawson. The note beneath it: "Corner booth, please. Discretion appreciated." I just stared, not at the screen, at the reflection of myself in the microwave door. Mouth slightly open, shoulders slack. That's the face of a man who's had his instincts confirmed. The same man who spent years working overtime so she could go back to school. The man who skipped happy hours, guy trips, and career moves to make sure she felt secure. I put the tablet down. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Confrontation is what people expect when they're guilty. It gives them a script. It gives them somewhere to run. I didn't want her running. I wanted her still. I wanted her unaware. Because I had a plan forming. At dinner, I asked her what her plans were for tomorrow night. She didn't miss a beat. Said she was meeting Claire, her old college roommate, for drinks and maybe sushi if they were hungry. She even laughed. "You wouldn't want to come. Trust me. It's all gossip and wine breath." I smiled. "Sounds fun. You two always had a good time." She reached over, touched my hand like it still meant something. "Thanks for understanding, babe. I'll make it up to you." I just nodded. My heart didn't race. My throat didn't tighten. I wasn't shocked anymore. I was preparing. I knew where she'd be. I knew what time. But I needed one more piece to fall into place before I moved. I waited until she fell asleep. She always slept hard after a lie. Quietly, I slipped out of bed and walked to my office. I opened my laptop and searched his name. I didn't have much to go on, but I had a guess. And one thing cheaters always forget: their social media breadcrumbs. And there he was, Kara's husband. His name was Eli Harper. His Instagram was public. Family man, weekend hiker, dog dad, proud husband. I scrolled through vacation photos and back porch BBQs. I found a picture from 3 weeks ago, his wife in a sundress, holding a glass of wine. My wife, Lena, was tagged in the comments. The best double date ever. My blood went cold. I had her. I had him. And now, I had a phone number. Suspense ending, part 1. I stared at Eli's contact info. My hand hovered over the call button, and then I pressed it. The phone rang 4 times before he answered. His voice was groggy, confused, like he hadn't expected anyone to call this late. "Hello." I hesitated. For a second, I questioned everything. What if I was wrong? What if I just cracked open a man's world with nothing but assumptions? But I wasn't wrong. I'd seen the smile. I'd read the reservation. I'd watched her lie to my face with ease. "Eli," I said, keeping my voice calm. "This is going to sound strange, but I think we should talk." A pause. Then, "Who is this?" "My name's David Dawson. My wife is Lena. I think we've both been living in the dark." Another pause. Longer this time. I could hear the shift in his breathing, like a man standing at the edge of a cliff, realizing the wind just picked up. "What are you saying?" he asked slowly. I didn't answer right away. I gave him the choice. I think your wife, Kara, is having an affair with my wife. And I think, if we both look close enough, we'll find out we've been played. He didn't speak. Look, I continued. I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm not even angry. Not right now, anyway. I'm just trying to understand what's real. If I'm wrong, you never have to hear from me again. But if I'm not, there was a sound on his end, like a chair scraping across the floor. Where are you? He asked. We agreed to meet the next day, somewhere neutral, quiet. A small diner halfway between our neighborhoods. I arrived first and sat in the far booth, facing the door. Eli walked in 10 minutes later. He looked like a man who hadn't slept. Dark circles, wrinkled flannel shirt, eyes searching every corner of the room as if truth might be hiding behind a coffee machine. He sat across from me. No handshakes, no greetings, just two men, hollowed by the same lie. I check her phone, he said. After we talked, there were texts. Nothing too obvious. But I know Kara. She doesn't use hearts unless she means them. He handed me his phone. I read the messages. Lena, I wish I was waking up next to you right now. Kara, only 2 more nights, promise. Lena, dinner tomorrow still? Kara, corner booth. Just like last time. It hit me harder than I expected. I nodded slowly, handing the phone back. I pulled out my tablet, opened the email, showed him the reservation. He didn't look surprised. She said she was seeing a friend tomorrow night, he muttered. I even told her to have fun. Like an idiot. You're not an idiot, I said. You were just committed. That made him laugh, bitterly. We always are, huh? We sat in silence for a while. Then I leaned forward. I have a plan, I said. Not to hurt them, but to make them see, really see what they've done. He raised an eyebrow. Go on. I laid out carefully. Tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. The same restaurant. 2 tables down. Full view. I've already reserved the one next to them, I told him. But it'd be stronger if you were there too. She won't expect you. Neither will Lena. It's not about screaming or scenes. It's about presence. Letting them feel the weight of the moment. Eli stared at me. You're calm about this, he said. No, I replied. I'm just done being played. This isn't for them. It's for us. He exhaled, leaned back. All right, he said. Let's give them a dinner to remember. That night, I went home and watched Lena get ready. She hummed to herself, picking out earrings she hadn't worn in months. Spritzed perfume she used to only wear on anniversaries. She stood in front of the mirror and smiled at herself. Not the smile she gave me, but the one I hadn't seen in years. Wish me luck, she said playfully, grabbing her clutch. Always, I said. She kissed my cheek and walked out. I waited 10 minutes. Then I grabbed my jacket. The envelope was already in my car. Screenshots, receipts, printed photos. The truth stacked neatly in black and white. I didn't feel nervous. I felt still. Suspense ending, part 2. As I drove to the restaurant, I looked over and saw Eli pulling into the lot at the same time. 2 men, 1 truth. We were ready. Marcellino's wasn't flashy. It was the kind of place couples went when they wanted dim lighting and quiet corners. Soft jazz in the background. A wine list that made you pretend to know more than you did. I'd been there with Lena once, years ago, on our first anniversary. I remember she loved the risotto. Said it tasted like memories of Italy, even though she'd never been. Now she was here with someone else. Eli and I entered separately, just as we'd agreed. He went in first, 10 minutes early. Sat at the bar near the entrance. I followed 5 minutes later and was escorted to our reserved table, next to theirs. The staff had followed my instructions perfectly. 2 tables, side by side, close enough to overhear casual conversation, far enough to pretend we were strangers. At 7:26, they arrived. Lena wore a navy blue dress, the same one she'd worn to our engagement party. My heart didn't break. It didn't even flinch. It just beat slower, steadier, like it knew something sacred had already been buried. She didn't see me yet. Kara was beside her, laughing, touching her arm, leaning in too close for just a friend. Eli hadn't moved. He sat quietly, watching from the bar. Then came the moment. As Lena settled into her seat, she turned her head slightly, just enough to catch a glimpse of me. Her smile faltered, only for a second, but I caught it, that small glitch in her confidence. She turned away quickly, whispering something to Kara. They both stiffened. I poured a glass of water, sipped it slowly, met her eyes again. This time, she couldn't look away. Kara noticed now. Her hand gripped Lena's under the table. I could see it barely. Eli stepped away from the bar, walking casually toward me. He pulled out the chair across from me and sat down. Kara froze. Her mouth opened, then closed. Lena stared at him. Eli, what are you? He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his coat and placed a manila envelope on their table. Neither of them touched it. I figured, Eli said quietly, if you two were going to have a nice dinner, you should be eating with the truth. He looked at Kara. Your kids miss you, by the way. That hit her hard. Lena turned to me. David, I held up a hand. Not to silence her. Just to tell her. I already knew. You should read what's inside, I said calmly. Bank transfers. Hotel invoices. DMs. It's all there. You didn't even bother hiding it well. Kara stood up. Her face was red, but not from shame. From panic. Lena looked like someone who'd forgotten how to breathe. I can explain, she started. You had months, I said. You just never thought I'd see it. Or maybe you didn't care if I did. Eli leaned forward. You lied to your families. To your spouses. You turned marriage into a playground and figured no one would notice the mess. He looked at Kara and said something I'll never forget. You built your future on ash. Now burn in it. Kara stormed out. Lena chased after her, heels clicking wildly on tile. Eli and I sat there. Quiet. Still. The waiter approached hesitantly. Gentlemen, do you still want to order? I nodded. Pasta. Red sauce. Simple. Eli chuckled. Same. And we ate. Two betrayed men. Sharing silence. No shouting. No drama. Just the slow digestion of truth. By the time dessert came, the restaurant had returned to normal. Our table, however, had become sacred ground. A place where illusions had died. I paid the bill. Left a generous tip. Then stood. I moved out this morning, I told Eli. She'll come home to an empty closet and frozen accounts. He gave a small nod. You think he'll try to reach out? Probably. And will you answer? I looked at him, then at the empty chair Lena had left behind. No, I said. Let them sit in the silence they created. Suspense ending, part 3. I walked out into the cool night air. My phone buzzed. One new message. Lena, please, just talk to me. I turned off my phone and smiled. She came home to silence. No keys by the door. No shoes on the rack. No jacket on the hook. The house we built together, room by room, paycheck by paycheck, felt hollow. I'd emptied it of me that morning while she was at work. Hired a crew. Moved fast. Quiet. Clean. Everything that belonged to me was gone. Everything she used to share with me was still there, but it looked abandoned now. Like love had been evicted. She called 4 times that night. Left voicemails. The kind you don't delete because you want to remember how they try to sound sincere too late. David, please. I don't even know what to say. I messed up, I know, but this wasn't just nothing. Please, talk to me. Click. I need to see you. I need to explain. It didn't mean what it looked like. Click. There's more to this than you think. Click. I miss you. Please don't shut me out like this. Please. I didn't respond. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because I needed her to hear the echo. To sit with the absence. The same way I had for months, while she disappeared into another man's shadow. I stayed in a small condo I'd leased weeks ago under my own name. I prepared for this. Not because I wanted it, but because I knew it was coming. You don't prepare for war while it's happening. You prepare when the first flag shifts. The next day, my lawyer contacted hers. Joint accounts frozen. Assets separated. Custody documents drafted for Emmy, our daughter. That was the one wound that still bled. She was only 6. Too young to understand, but old enough to feel the shift. I picked her up from school that afternoon. She ran to me like she always did, threw her arms around my neck, and asked if we were still going to build a pillow fort like we promised. Yes, baby, I whispered. Always. She asked where Mommy was. I didn't lie, but I didn't poison her either. She's not feeling well, I said, which was true, just not in the way she thought. That evening, Lena showed up. She banged on the condo door, sobbing, begging. I didn't open it. She texted next. You just going to shut me out? After everything we've been through? That message hit different. After everything we'd been through? You mean the years I spent carrying this marriage like it was a broken body? The late nights, the skipped holidays, the missed chances to chase dreams just so she could chase hers? She threw it all away for cheap affection from a married man. And now I was supposed to feel guilty for walking away? No. Later that week, Lena tried again. This time, she waited outside Emmy's school. I arrived and found her crouched beside our daughter, smiling like nothing had changed. Emmy's eyes lit up. "Mommy." My stomach twisted. "Hi, baby," Lena said, hugging her tightly. "I missed you so much." I kept my distance until she looked up at me. "We need to talk," she said. I nodded to Emmy. "Go away in the car, sweetheart. I'll be right there." She obeyed. I turned to Lena. "You don't get to corner me at our daughter's school." "She misses me," she said quietly. "Yeah," I nodded. "She misses the version of you that still had a conscience." Her expression cracked. She looked tired, pale, not like herself. And maybe that was the point. Maybe this was who she really was underneath the lipstick and lies. "I know I screwed up," she said, "but we can't just throw everything away." I was confused, lonely. I felt invisible. "No," I said sharply. "You were bored, and you fed that boredom with secrets. You weren't invisible. You were selfish." Her mouth opened, then shut. I turned and walked to the car. As I buckled Emmy in, she whispered, "Why was Mommy crying?" I smiled gently. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, sweetie, and sometimes they need time to fix them." She nodded slowly. Her child mind tried to piece together a story no 6-year-old should have to read between. Suspense ending, Part 4. That night, after I tucked Emmy in, I found an envelope slipped under my door. My name written in Lena's handwriting. Inside, a leather-bound journal. Her journal, and a note. "If you won't talk to me, at least read me." I didn't open it right away. The journal sat on my kitchen table for 2 days. Unread, unmoved. I walked past it every morning like it was some artifact from a life that had ended. Part of me was afraid, not of what I'd find inside, but of what I might feel. What if there was a part of me still willing to forgive? What if I read her side and it didn't make me hate her more? That's the thing about betrayal. It's not just about what someone did to you. It's about what they did to your version of them. And sometimes you miss that version more than the person themselves. On the third night, I poured a drink, sat down, and opened the first page. March 14th. I don't know when it started. The distance, the silence, the ache. Maybe it wasn't all at once. Maybe I let it grow like a weed I thought I could still pull up later. But now, here I am, watching the man I married walk around like he doesn't see me anymore. I kept reading. Each entry was dated, raw, unfiltered. She wrote about the nights I worked late, about Emmy's first day of kindergarten, and how she sat alone on the couch, crying, wondering why I didn't seem to care as much. She wrote about how empty the house felt, how she began to question her worth, her beauty, her place in my world. He never looked up anymore, never touched me without reason. I stopped being a wife and started feeling like a roommate. I know that doesn't excuse what I did, but when someone else made me feel seen again, I fell for the feeling, not the person. It wasn't defensive. It wasn't angry. It was human, ugly but honest. She admitted everything. The affair, the lies, the cover stories, the way she used Claire as an excuse, the way she'd hide in the bathroom just to text Kara. She even mentioned feeling sick to her stomach the night she wore the blue dress, that same dress from our engagement party. When I saw him at the restaurant, I thought my heart would stop. I realized then I had become exactly what I never wanted to be, the villain in the story of the man who built me a world. I closed the journal halfway through. I needed air. I stepped out onto the small condo balcony and stared into the night. The city below buzzed like nothing had changed. But everything had. Her words didn't erase the betrayal. They didn't heal the scar. But they showed me something I didn't expect. She hadn't been cruel. She'd been weak, cowardly, lost, just like I'd been once too. The next morning, Lena showed up again. She didn't knock. She just stood outside my door, holding Emmy's stuffed rabbit, one she'd apparently forgotten the last time she stayed over. I opened the door and stepped outside, closing it behind me. "You read it?" she asked. I nodded. She looked hopeful. Too hopeful. "I don't forgive you," I said gently. She nodded, swallowed. I didn't come for that, she whispered. I just wanted you to know I was never proud of what I did. I wasn't trying to destroy us. I was just desperate. And when you're desperate, you don't see who you're hurting. Not until you already did. I stared at her. She looked like a ghost of herself. Not because of what she'd lost, but because she now understood what she'd thrown away. I should have talked to you, she said. I should have told you how lonely I felt instead of finding someone else to fill it. Yeah, I replied. But you didn't. We stood there for a while. Two people who used to be each other's world. Now just echoes. She handed me the rabbit. Tell Emmy I love her. I will. She turned to leave, then paused. Do you think you'll ever see me the same again? I looked at her, and for the first time since everything happened, I didn't feel hate. No, I said, but I might be able to remember the parts of you that deserve love. Before all this. Her eyes welled. She didn't cry. She nodded and walked away. Suspense ending, Part 5. 3 days later, I received a small white envelope in the mail. No return address. Just one line, handwritten. Dinner? One last time. No lies. It was from Lena, and I said yes. We met at a different restaurant this time. No Italian romance. No dimly lit booths or quiet corners. Just a plain cafe in the heart of the city, where the coffee was strong and the silverware didn't match. Neutral ground. Unremarkable. Honest. I arrived first. I didn't wear anything special. Just jeans, a button-down. Like myself. Because I was done performing for people who wouldn't clap. I was done dressing up pain to make it digestible. I was here for closure, not reconciliation. She walked in 5 minutes later. No makeup. No jewelry. Just Lena. The real one. Not the polished version who lied with grace. Not the performer who played the perfect wife. Just the tired, regretful woman I once promised my life to. She sat across from me. Didn't speak at first. Neither did I. Then she sighed. Thank you for coming. I didn't come for you, I said. I came for me. She nodded, as if she expected that. I'm not here to win you back, she added. I know that ship's at the bottom of the ocean. I never wanted our story to end in silence. I looked out the window. Cars passed. A man walked his dog. Somewhere, people were laughing. Their lives untouched by ours. You want closure, I said. She bit her lip. Maybe. Or maybe I just want to know if I still exist in your world, even if it's only as a painful chapter. I leaned forward. Do you know what hurt the most? I asked. It wasn't the lies. It wasn't the cheating. It was realizing how easy it was for you to pretend around me. To let me sit across from you at dinner, smile, and laugh while you were emotionally gone. She looked down. I thought you'd stopped loving me, she whispered. You were always working, always tired. I felt invisible. So you made me invisible, I said. She nodded slowly. I did. I wanted to hate her right then. I want to dig into all the ways she made me feel small. The holidays she ruined. The questions she never answered. The years I can't get back. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I realized something. I had already mourned her. I didn't need to scream anymore. I didn't need revenge. I just needed peace. I don't love you anymore, I said calmly. But I don't hate you either. That's your punishment. You don't get my love or my rage. You just get to remember. Tears welled in her eyes, but none fell. I deserve that, she whispered. I pulled a letter from my coat pocket. Here, I said, placing it on the table. It's for Emmy, for when she's older. I want her to know the truth, but not the bitterness. She took it gently, like it might shatter. Thank you, she said. I stood up. I forgive you, I said quietly. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to let it go. That broke her. Her shoulders shook. She didn't chase me this time. Didn't call out. She just stayed seated, trembling in her grief, watching me walk away. And I did walk away. From a cafe. From her. From the version of myself that once needed her to feel whole. Epilogue. A year later, I was living in a new house. Smaller. Simpler. Quieter. Emmy had a room filled with sunlight and books. I had peace. Not the kind that comes from revenge or victory. The kind that comes from survival. Lena wrote from time to time. Updates on her job. Her therapy. Her journey. We weren't friends, but we weren't enemies. She had made her choices, and I had made mine. One night, Emmy asked, Daddy, why don't you live with Mommy anymore? I looked at her. I still love her, I said. But sometimes love isn't about holding on. It's about letting go the moment someone stops choosing you. She nodded, too young to fully understand, but old enough to feel the truth in my words. She crawled into my lap. I held her close. And for the first time in a long time, I felt whole again. Ending, redemption reached. I didn't burn her down. I didn't seek to ruin her. I stepped aside and watched her fall into the silence she created. And in that silence, I found something unexpected. Myself.